Lieutenant Governor Reynolds, thank you very much, and I think you can see I've met my match in terms of energy, enthusiasm, and passion to serve the people of Iowa. We're proud to work together as a team. I want to thank Ann Trimble-Ray for the introduction and also for serving on that Transportation 2020 advisory group that's going to help put together a plan for us to meet the transportation infrastructure needs of the future. That's very important to rural Iowa and really for our competitiveness in terms of jobs. As the Lieutenant Governor mentioned, we inherited a financial mess. For the last several years, they'd spent more money than we're taking in. They'd used one-time money like trust fund money and federal bailout money, federal stimulus money, but that's all gone. We all know the federal budget's in even worse shape than the state budget, and so we had to at least take the lead and get the state back on the right track. I'm proud to say that we passed a budget that spends less than we take in, and we passed, for the first time since the 1980s, a biennial budget, a 2-year budget for most of the programs, and it's sustainable. We put together a 5-year strategic budget plan that spends less than we take in each year. And one of the things we had to do is straighten out the situation with school aid, because in 2009 Governor Culver cut 10% across the board and then just threw it back to local school boards to either lay off teachers and staff or raise property taxes. And then last year the legislature underfunded school aid by $212 million. So the first thing we did is fully met the state's obligations, provided the additional $212 million to fully fund the school aid formula in the first year. The second year we also provided additional $65 million for 2% allowable growth. We also have had an education summit attended by 1,650 people, and we're looking at how we can revise the whole school funding approach and really focus on improving student achievement. We have the goal of making Iowa schools again highest achievers in the nation, and we want to be able to attract the best quality teachers and principals, and we also want to make sure we've got a good evaluation system so that we can get rid of bad teachers and promote and encourage good teachers to stay. And in addition to that, we need to also recognize the use of technology and the way we can help students learn and recognize different students learn at a different pace. But we need to have a challenging curriculum that's going to make sure that our students are prepared for the jobs of the future. I'm very excited about the success we've had in agriculture. When I was governor before, during the farm crisis, agriculture was the weakest part of the economy. Today it's the strongest part of the economy. If you look at the paper today, both corn and soybeans are up, and soybeans are like well over $13, corn's over $7. And it's not only just the commodities, it's livestock prices, and it's also the food, the fuel, the renewable fuel, pharmaceuticals and nutraceuticals, and all these other products we can make from our agricultural products. We also recognize that one of the impediments for business growth is overregulation. And as we were campaigning across Iowa, we heard a lot, especially about the DNR but other state agencies, in how they'd overreached and gone beyond what the legislative intent was, and how this was an impediment for businesses, for farmers, and even for local communities. And so we're in the process of reining that in. I've already signed an executive order requiring a jobs impact statement on every new regulation. When we had the DNR Commission recently try to go beyond the intent of the legislature, the Rules Review Committee, on a vote of 9-1, bipartisan vote, delayed that rule. We're going to do a systematic sunset of all of the administrative rules, and over the next 4 years, with the help of Brenna Finley, my legal counsel, will review all the rules, and the idea to keep the ones that make sense, eliminate the ones that don't, and revise those that maybe could be handled in a better, more efficient way. Most importantly, focusing on things that are not going to, things that we can facilitate and assist businesses to create jobs as opposed to be a stumbling block for that. One of the examples was the rice rule. The rice rule said that local communities that had a backup generator that they may only use sparingly if you had an ice storm or just testing it once in a while, a few hours a year. We're going to have to spend millions of dollars to retrofit all of these to reduce their pollution. It makes no sense, it's not cost effective, and the Iowa Environmental Commission had passed that. I vetoed it, and now we're lobbying the EPA to back off on the federal imposition. This rule is supposed to take effect in 2013. I'm hopeful we can get that done. In addition to that, of course, we passed a budget that doesn't raise taxes. In fact, we eliminated taxes for all Iowa military that are deployed. As you know, we just had a lot of our National Guard come back from extended deployment in Afghanistan. And the biggest disappointment was not getting our limitations on property tax and the rollback of the tax on commercial property. Our commercial property tax is the only class of property that's taxed at 100%. We want to roll that down to 60% over a period of years, and also then provide a reimbursement to local governments so they won't, so the state would replace money that they lose. But we also want to work with them to eliminate some of the unfunded mandates from the state so that we can, in fact, reduce not only commercial property tax, we want to limit ag and residential and other classes of property as well. Failing to do so will mean a $1.3 billion increase in property taxes for the next 5 years. And some of those property tax statements are already coming out. In many cases, they're up. And we need to put that in place, and that's one of the things we're pushing for. I think it's one of the most important things to grow the Iowa economy is to be able to say to all classes of property, but especially the commercial property taxpayers, that that tax is going to go down to make Iowa more competitive. We also want to revise the corporate income tax in Iowa to make it easier for people to start businesses so there'll be no tax on startup businesses. Today, Iowa has among the highest corporate income taxes in the country, and we want to reduce that. We also see there's a need for that at the federal level. Recently, when I was in Chicago calling on companies to encourage them to expand and grow in Iowa, I had a company tell me, we're thinking about moving our operation from Chicago to Canada rather than Iowa. And the reason for that is Canadians have cut their corporate income tax to 18%. Next year it's going to 15%. When I was governor before, we got IPSCO Steel, we got 6 automotive component parts manufacturers from Canada, we got Skyjack that makes the lifts. All those Canadian companies came to Iowa because we were competitive in our tax and business climate. The Canadian dollar was only worth 65 or 70 cents in a dollar, now it's worth $1.20. And their financial institutions are stronger than ours. There's something wrong here. And that's the reason why we clearly think we need new leadership in Washington that understands that the way you grow the economy is to reduce the tax and regulatory burden like we're working to do at the state level, at the national level as well. So we think we have a lot of work to do, but I'm really pleased with the progress that was made, especially on the budget issues. And the budget we've got, I think, is sustainable for the long term. We're also looking at innovative ways that we can deliver services, reducing the size of government, the number of state employees, and looking for more innovative ways to deliver service. If you read the Des Moines Register today, and I don't think anybody in Western Iowa gets it anyway, but in case you did, there's a story in there about the Civil Rights Department. These people are supposed to be enforcing our civil rights. Instead, they're sending all kinds of obscene and objectionable and discriminatory emails. So the director of that department, I'm proud to say that I appointed, she has fired 3 of them, but she also put together a work matrix to require, because they're way behind in handling cases. In some cases, 4 or 5 years behind. And so what she's done is said, okay, this is the level that we expect you to accomplish. Well, she had a number of people quit when they found out we're going to make them work. So, but the point is, those days are over. We're looking really, when people have a responsibility of enforcing the laws on discrimination, they should not be discriminating. It's pretty basic, but that's an example of the new attitude and the new leadership we put in place in the departments and agencies of state government. I'm very proud of the change that we're making. It isn't easy, and we have a lot of liberals screaming because they want to do things the old, expensive way, but that's doesn't make any sense, and we can't afford it, and we're going to find better ways to deliver services at lower costs. Most importantly, I think we want to unleash the private sector, because we know it's not government, but you in the private sector that's going to create jobs. And agriculture is the strongest part of our economy. We need to build on it. We need to make sure that our young people are getting the education they need in science and technology and engineering and mathematics, so that they're prepared for those jobs in the future. And a lot of those jobs in the future are in the bioscience area, and we think that Iowa is a natural location for that, since we grow the corn and soybeans here, and we have certainly the research capabilities at Iowa State and our other universities. With that, we'd open it for your questions, your comments or suggestions on how we can be more effective. Thank you very much. Questions?
No, I think I said at the beginning, or we try to say each time, I'm not sure we did, but we certainly couldn't have done it without the help of the House in this legislative session, as well as the Senate. I mean, we really had a message that was united. We worked together with the communication. Governor Branstad had leadership and an open door policy for the representatives during the session to come down and talk about issues that were important to them, talk about why we were, working towards the goals that we had put in place. So, I mean, we had strong advocacy in the...
We can get a lot more done when we get rid of the pound stuff.
Yeah, so we got one more Senate to take care of, and then we can finish the job, right? Yeah.